Hello, and welcome to Learn Python Through the Hard Way, exercise 49, where we're going to take your lexicon you just made and we're going to turn it into a parser. Now, the previous exercise was called the test first exercise, and that's where you write the test and then you make the code to make the test work. I'm going to quickly demonstrate how your lexicon should work. So, let me just give you a quick rundown of how I've structured the ex48 directory. Even though we're in ex49, it's easier to piggyback off of the directory you already have. So I have an ex48 directory, and confusingly, I also have another ex48 directory inside it. So I am in this directory, and I put another one in there. That's just because that's the module I'm using. And then I made a test directory, and then I got ex48, and I put the lexicon.py and the parser.py and my dunder and init.py in there. And then in the test directory, I just put the lexicon tests from before. Now, when you run those tests, you should see 6 tests ran. If you don't see 6 tests ran, then most likely you didn't get them all done or something like that. And also make sure you're actually in a virtual environment. Notice I'm in the virtual environment. I'm continuing on from that. If not, let me deactivate. Let me just show you this real quick. I'm going to use push D to go home. I'm going to do /.vms, learn Python the hard way, scripts, activate. That activates me, and then I can type pop D, and I'm back to where I was. All right, and then nose tests, and it should all run. Okay, clear this up. Now, how should this work? When I start Python, let me go back to my notes here. Yes, from ex48 import lexicon. Got it. Now, I should be able to do lexicon.scan and type go north, and I should get verb and direction. I could also be able to do go to the north and error. Because I don't have to as a stop word, I could go and add that if I wanted. Stop the. The is a stop word, and then direction. Let's try another sample. Yep, let's just do kill the princess. Oh, the princess. There we go. Verb kill, stop, noun, princess, and so on. Eat the bear. Let's try that. Let's eat a bear. Eat the bear. There we go. That's what your lexicon should work like. And your parser is going to do that. It's going to use that to get the sentence that it needs to parse. Okay. So, what is parsing? This is actually a very big, not complicated. It's actually not a complicated subject in computer science, but it goes deep, very deep. Just parsing is not very complicated, but what is complicated is the concept of languages, programming languages, regular languages, turning them into programs that can actually run on a computer and things like that is just center to computer science, and it's massive. But what we're doing is just a teeny tiny little bit of that. So we already have the code, and you should read through this. I'm going to go through it really quick in the text editor. We should read through this and implement this code, okay, and sort of get it to just parse. But remember, it's the kind of thing that you want to do in chunks, okay? So what I would do is I'm describing this whole thing piece by piece. So what you should do is you should write your test for that, for sentence. Then you should write the test for peak to make sure it works. Then you write the test for match. And you want to kind of think through, like, how do I have this? How do I have this? How do I run this? And so on. So I'm going to go through the code, and then I'm going to start the test, but I will pause the video if you want to try and solve this yourself in a few seconds. Let me just do this much. Okay, so if I'm in here, I want parser. All right. And you can see I have these marked off. This is my little publishing system that lets me mark these off. So we're just going to do that much. Now, I have the code and just the first few things of code. So I'm going to write a test in a few seconds that covers these 3 things. Okay. What you would want to do is type these in piece by piece, and then when you're done, you'll have all the stuff that you need to do. All right? And this is the full code here. And then when I'm done with that little test, I'm going to review this whole thing. All right? I'm going to do all of these things. I'm going to go through it and tell you how this all works. Okay, so first things I want to do is I want to create a test in the exercise 48 directory. So I'm here and I want to go into tests and I want to call it parser tests.py. All right, now we got a Python file and we got our tests going. And then for reference, I can actually just pull up ex48, let's do tests. And let's do lexicon test.py. There we go. So I know I have to start off with this. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And start with that. And I probably want to have the lexicon because I'm going to need that. But I also need, I'm going to do import that and parser. All right, let's do nose tests. Okay, it runs, but we aren't really testing anything. Okay, so now that gets you set up. And just to show you exactly what I did, if I look in ls tests from ex48, I now have this new file. And if I cat that file out, we have just the very beginning of that file. That's it. Okay, now you are going to attempt to write the tests for this file, and you should do it incrementally, so piece by piece. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to go to the pause, try it yourself, and then come back, and I will give you the first 3 or so to sort of show you exactly what's going on after you've attempted it. Okay, we're back. So if you tried it, here's probably what I would do. So I've got my parser, right? And I want to test, let's not test parse error. I mean, if we want to be very, very explicit, we could do that, but let's test sentence. Okay, and we have to make sure we know what sentence does. It takes a subject, a verb, and an object, and then signs these things. Okay, so we're going to go over to parser tests. And I'm going to do test, def test subject. Okay. And I'm going to do, let's say, let's do subject. Is that right? Sentence. That's what it is. Okay. So I'm going to just say S1 equals sentence. And then it takes the, in order, takes, let's see, subject, verb, and object. So I'm going to pop back here and do subject is going to be cheese, and we're going to do eats pigeon. Just something kind of random. And let me just close this for a second so I can switch these a little quicker. Okay, so again, we just have the most basic. And of course, I get this thing that I do not want. All right, there we go. We have the most basic. Now let's go run it. Okay, name sentence is not defined. So one thing that's kind of good about doing something like that is when you do have an error, you know that this test is running. In some cases, if you don't know the test is run, like if you're not sure if it's running, then yeah, make an error. Like I'll do this, I'll do assert false to make sure some piece of code is running. And if I don't get an assert, then I know that code's not running. All right, back to one more. Okay, that test ran. But we wanted to do a little bit of confirmation, so we can say assert s1 dot verb equals, oh, I didn't even spell eats right. Let me give that a second. Eats, and assert s1 dot noun, or no, subject equals, and this has to be a double equals, cheese, and assert s1 object equals pigeon. Do that, do this. All right, verb does not equal eats. So let's go see why. Subject, verb, object. Let's try it one more time. Verb should equal eats. Let's go see what we got. Yeah, it's saying the verb, s1.verb does not equal eats. So let's print that out. Print s1.verb equals s1.verb. Let's see what we got. Try this. S1 verb equals A. Interesting. So let's go check out what we did. What did I do? Ah, that's right. Okay, see this right here? It expects 3 tuples. So I messed that up. So what we actually want is it wants verb eats, noun cheese, and noun pigeon. There we go, a little bit better. Oh wait, did I save it? Verb, subject. Oh, I did that totally wrong. Let me undo that. I'm doing this in the wrong place. All right, one more time. We want this one to be noun cheese. And let me, I'm so glad that Adam is helping me here. And noun eats, oh no, verb eats. Verb eats. And noun pigeon. That's what we want. There we go. So that's your first little test. Now you're going to do the next little part. So we're going to do def test, and we're going to come up to the parser and check out peak. So peak is going to be a word list, and the word list is, first we can do a really simple test first to just make sure we get none. So let's do that first. So let's test peak, and we're going to say lexicon parser peak the word list. All right. So we can use our lexicon scan to make this a little bit nicer. So let's go word list equals this. First we're going to test that we get none. So I'm going to do assert none equals, I'm going to do this like this. Let me see, parser.peak word list. So that's what I should get for that first case where it's like a none, there's nothing in the word list. Okay, now I can say word list equals and go lexicon.scan. Let's do princess kill bear. Let's try that. And then we're going to say, we're going to get the word. Let's just see what that's going to return. Word list 0. The word equals word list 0, and then return word 0. Okay, so we're going to say assert should be, the 0 one's going to be noun equals parser.peak, and you double check it again. Yeah, that and that. Okay. Okay, peak word list. There, that way we don't have to construct them manually. Run it one more time, and that worked. So we are doing it correctly. Now we could make more elaborate tests where we could actually check each one. Now we can do, I said I would do 3, so test. What's the next one? Match. So match takes a word list and then a word type that it's expecting. So let's do that one more time. Match. And first, what's the simplest case? Word list is empty. Let's try that first. Word list equals empty list. Assert none equals parser dot match word list. All right, run it. Remember, write a little, run it. Match is expecting two things. Expecting a noun. Let's just do that. Okay, that works. Now, let's do word list equals lexicon.scan frog. No, let's do bear eat princess. This princess and this bear are just having a battle. And then we're going to say, go look at this. Okay, so we got a word list. We're going to pop the first one off. If 0 equals expecting, then we return the word. Otherwise, we return none. So we have two things to test. Test that first branch. So we're going to say assert bear equals parser.match word list, comma, noun. Okay, so that tests this. It equals expecting, and we get the word. Okay, GT. Do it one more time. It does not match. Assert bear does match that. Control S. So what we can do then is, let's print this out. Let's just do an F string and do, actually, you know what? I believe we can just use I totally forgot about this. Incidentally, one of the reasons why I'm using asserts is later on we might have to change this. So in the new testing system, PyTest will be using asserts. So you can do either. It'll work. But this is a little more convenient because it will tell you what's going on. So, all right. So let's check it. Yes, it returns the entire word tuple. So let's go check that out. So what we want to actually have is, it should be noun bear. That's what we want. All right, that works. And then we have to test the failure case, which is assert equal, too many S's in my assert, equal, still can't spell assert, none, comma, parser.match word list. Now let's do verb, so we get a fail case. Okay, run that next. None does not equal verb eat. Oh, well, actually, that's the correct because the word list changes. So let's change it to noun, even though the next is a verb, and that works. So that should be a failure case. And keep in mind, this is what I'm testing now, is that. Okay, so that's a demonstration of testing the parser. And actually, that's a lot of it. So you can go and finish the rest of the testing and try to be as extensive as you can. Now, I'm going to go through what the parser does, but you should be able to write this test a lot better. I mean, a lot easier than the previous exercise where you had to write code for the test, okay? But what this does is the primary entry to this script, or to this module, is parse sentence. And it does all the stuff to sort of like figure out what's a subject, what's an object, what's a verb, and return a sentence. And that's almost the main thing you use. You don't really use a lot of the other stuff. And what this is for is to take, when people type out, here, I'm going to show you. So I'm going to do from ex48 import, I'm just going to do asterisks. So what I want to be able to do is do parser.parse sentence. And I'm going to say, princess kill the bear, okay? And it will ignore it will give me a noun for bear and a verb for kill and make me a little sentence. And I don't have parser. Why don't I have parser? Try this one more time. Parser and lexicon. There we go. So once we have that, parser and sentence, we have expected a verb next. So once we have that, we can actually go and see expected a verb next, parse the subject, okay, noun, next word is verb, and then otherwise we expected the verb next. So we can go and see, let's say eat the bear, expected a verb next. Let me try this one more time. You know what we can do? Instead, we can debug it. Let's do print word list. Let's try this one more time. All right. Quit. Let's try this. From ex48, import parser lexicon. What do we get? Princess eat the bear. Oh, I wonder if it's expecting. Hold up. It is. There, that's my problem. I need to study my own thing. Lexicon.scan. And we do princess eat the bear. That's more like it. Now we have a parse sentence. As you can see, all you're doing is you're passing the results of the lexicon to the parser, and then it gives you a sentence to work with. So I'm just going to grab that as S. There we go. And now I have object, I have verb, and I have subject. So now your game can process all those and make like the bear have damage points, or the princess pick up an object, or all these things, just by parsing out simple subject, object, verb actions. Okay, study this code, write the test, make sure it works. If you don't understand how everything works, make sure you do all your debug printing, and then you can move on to the next exercise. And then we're going to be closing out the book pretty soon. So hopefully you're having fun making this little game, and I will see you soon.